Open your eyes because Apple is going to get you with this pricing strategy. We saw it when they sold 40 million iPads, and they're doing it right now with their new Vision headset, Apple Vision Pro. And so I was going back through because I couldn't remember exactly what we had talked about in the past with Apple's pricing strategy. We had talked about the price anchor.
They always put that big price up there, and then when they release the product, here they go again.
I found this video that's trending on Twitter, and it says audience laughs at Apple's new Vision Pro listed at $3,500. Literally, the audience is laughing, and I'm like, this is just like what happened with the iPhone, with the iPad. Now that you know, you're seeing it because when that product does hit the shelves, it's going to be marked down. You see it as a deal, you're going to buy it. Yeah. That's how they sold the 40 million iPads. Like that's.
So do you think like the crowd was laughing because they know they're on the?
No, I think they're laughing because they're like, who the hell is going to pay that for this? It's spatial computing is what the glasses are. They almost look like goggles. Yeah. What they're using. I mean, it's a headset. So, but I mean, Apple's always been visionary. They're ahead. They're on the forefront of everything. Yeah. So, I mean, I imagine they've been working on this for years, and they know what they're doing when it comes to pricing their products.
I mean, I think they ultimately even have the final product built that it's going to be in 4 years. Yeah. The actual glasses. This is just because this is the way the electronics game works.
Yep. I mean, imagine how many new iPhones, like how many iPhones are there? 12 now? Like each year it was like they were dropping a new one, but you know that they had been having all that in the works. They just had to convince you to hop on the train.
This is probably a little bit before your time though, Shannon, but back when cassettes were a big deal and you had the Walkman, the first Walkman that came out, and then everybody bought it so you could actually take your music with you and have like a headset on it.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it came with the auto reverse. Oh, well, shit, I got to upgrade my Walkman. They've done this since the 80s. I mean, this is something that since the dawn of time that technology just holds these little bitty kind of twerks that kind of say, oh, well, you know what? We can upgrade them in 6 months and just get more bang for our buck.
Well, it almost seems to the consumer that they're just working year to year. Little do you know that I think Apple works 4 years ahead. So they have pretty much prototypes probably built for the next 4 versions of what this is going to look like. And I think the final version is we don't need a phone anymore.
Which, yeah, and this is so weird, y'all. It almost seems like we are predicting the future a little bit. Last week, and I think I'm dropping it today, we were just talking about the future of AI, all the possibilities, and now this headset is pretty much like a computer attached to your eyeballs. Yeah. Like, if y'all haven't seen it yet, it's trending on Twitter. You could probably look up the commercials for the Apple Vision Pro. And that's another thing. People were wondering, why are they calling it a Pro if this is the first of its line? Like, if this is the first product hitting the shelves, why are they calling it Pro? What do y'all think?
I think if we look back on the recent releases that Apple has made, they've always put a big price up there. They're basically conditioning the crowd to start to process and justify, how am I going to save enough money? How am I going to fit this into my budget? How am I going to do this? And then when they come back at release and all of a sudden the product is $12.99, then it's like, oh golly, dude, I thought I was going to
perceived it as higher value. So yeah, they're already convinced. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a deal, because in their mind, when they saw that $3,500, they're perceiving that as, wow, this must be the most bizarre, insane technology. So then when they see that lower price, it's already perceived as what the value was. They're more likely to buy it.
Well, I saw a lot of chatter as why people are saying, why did they put the word Pro on the end? Why did they put the word Pro? Well, you just read between the lines. Look at the past. The past tells you a lot about what the future is going to be. So, yeah, it's brilliant marketing by Apple. They're conditioning the market to understand that this is the value of this. And so when they come and release it at a third of the price or half the price, people look at it and say, I got to get it. It's a great deal.
And the strategy is called price anchoring. I had to go back and find a Twitter thread that we had talked about in the past. With price anchoring.
Price anchoring.
Price anchoring.
Anchoring.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're watching it happen
right in real time.
It's really cool.
Let's see what happens when they release this and see. We'll be able to revisit this and see if our prediction comes true. We're predicting that this is going to be significantly less, and they've anchored this price in your subconscious, and when you see that, you're going to think you're getting a deal.
I think it's going to be listed on the shelf for like $1,200.
That's what I think.
What do you think? Around 1,200? What
About
do you
a third
think,
of that price.
Look, and again, I don't know. I mean, we all know they come out with a big price because it's always easier to discount than it is to increase your price. I mean, I think that's a lot of people's strategy. I'm wondering if,
as long as you can justify.
Yeah.
And that's how they justify. They put that word pro on the
Yep.
end. And so when they release the other one, it's just the, what is it called? The something vision?
Apple Vision Pro.
Apple Vision Pro.
I'm wondering if it's partly too that it's a little bit of a research to kind of get that feedback to see exactly how much they're going to dial it back based off of the chatter that they're getting on it. I don't know. I mean, do you think they already have it set in stone what they're going to release it actually at, or do you think they threw this number out there just to see, and if everybody's like, "Oh, that's a freaking deal, let's get it," then they're like, "Well, man, we didn't put it high enough." I don't know.
Well, the way that they're justifying this on something that I read was that this is more for an advanced user, a professional user that they want to roll this out to because they think that's who's going to deem the greatest benefit for it early on. But who knows? That's just marketing. You know, that's there's a process and a reason why they're doing it this way, and that might be one of the reasons. But it's certainly not the only reason.
I think it's like you got to peel back the layers. It's definitely, there's a lot of things that they're probably trying to figure out. This is just a little dip in the water with it.
And I think that's partially too. You know how we're saying like Apple's 4 years ahead of time. I think too it's marketing conditioning. Like they're conditioning the market for these things. You know, because like, you put these big goofy ass goggles on somebody's head the same way they put the freaking weird earbuds in your thing. To me, it looked with like, who is actually going to wear this? But it's almost like today everybody is wearing them. It's almost like common ground to see somebody with those things in their ears. And when it first came out, it's like, man, that looks a little weird.
You know how many people probably laughed at the iPad? I mean, think about it. We're so used to having an iPhone. The iPad is actually pretty big, and people carry that around. You know how many people laughed at the iPad? Like, there's no way you can get the average consumer to pay that much money for this when you can just go use a computer. Yeah. Now look at everybody. You have handheld devices on you at all times, your AirPods, your iPhone, iPad, computer, your Mac. It's really crazy.
One of the scientists, I don't know if it's the Apple product or it might be a competing product, but they were talking about how scary these things are because, you know, they're kind of, your eyes are a window into your soul. You have these things on your eyes. And so one of the things they said was they were able to predict what you were going to do before you did it. So they knew the next move you were going to make before you did it. So by putting these things on your head and letting them get this ingrained to your body, are people then able to start manipulating just like they do right now with propaganda and with persuasive speech and persuasive video? Are they going to be able to go that much deeper, and before you do something, they know you're going to do it, and they do something to change your behavior? It's really kind of weird, man, with this whole AI thing and where it can go. And I think that as we start to get more, it seems to be the more that we engage and these things become a part of who we are. The phone right now, we hold it in our hand, we can put it down. Now all of a sudden, this thing's hooked up to your eyes. It's seeing things.
I was about to say the same thing. It's like, just think of how disconnected we are today, or the world is today, because they're staring at their phone. Now, if it's your hands free staring into the steel, everybody's going to be zoned out. Like they're going to be in their own virtual. That's when the whole.
You'll be walking and seeing this screen in front of you, and Shannon will be walking by, dude, and it's literally, you'll just be like two, like, you know, whatever, aliens, two monsters just kind of just rolling next to each other. Zombies, dude. Yeah, the zombie apocalypse with. Listen, I always find it fascinating when I go to New York City, when you're down in the hustle bustle of Times Square, watching the people that either have the white AirPods in, or the people before the AirPods, the people walking and looking at their phone. Like, you would look around and say, what is going on here? Because there's tens of thousands of people all doing this same thing, looking at this device. So we're going to be immersed. The metaverse is here.
Dark turn real fast.
They also predicted that you know, because Meta bought a company called Oculus years ago that had the headset. They were the first kind of VR headset, big headset. And they said what Apple just released is so significantly better than anything else. I think they said Meta spent $75 billion in this whole Oculus thing, and it's not going to make it. There's no way. This is how far Apple is ahead of anybody else in the game.
I'll let us know your thoughts on the Apple
Vision
Pro.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in buying the headset? You might say no now, but
Yeah, what's your
probably
price
have an
point?
iPhone. So
Yeah, let's put out the predictions. What do you think it's going to come out as? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we already know that it's not going to be the price that they just listed.
I think
on
it's
there.
definitely sub 2,000 and maybe even a third of what they said for the entry level one. I'm thinking.
yeah, absolutely. When we're talking about how Apple sold 40 million iPads, it's because when they first were presenting this, Steve Jobs had 999.
999, yeah.
And at the end, it was 499. And it just goes to show you, though, with that higher price, you are perceiving that product at a higher value. That initial price is still stuck in your head. I think it's called like heuristics or something. It's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
You're still viewing that product as that higher price. So then when you see that secondary lower price, you're more convinced to buy it.
Yeah, so they planted the seed. You showed us
Yeah.
on Twitter right now. They
Conditional.
planted the seed
Yeah.
for the Vision Pro. What was the price they had on it?
$3,499.
$3,499, I'm pretty
But
sure.
hey, they use the key word. See, I don't think people really understand that you have to pay attention to the details. And that word Pro, why would they not call it the Apple Vision? Why did they have to put the Pro word in there? That Pro word is the key word on how they're going to anchor that price, set your psychological on that number, and when they release it at $12.99, which is my prediction, you are going to think you won the lottery. You're going to be
Yep.
cheering.
People already saw that price, and they're trying to figure out how to save for it.
To price anchor your little asses on that VR headset, and y'all are going to think that this thing only costs $34.99, and then when they release it at $1,200, you're going to think that it was Christmas. I get to go
I think
pay
I'm going
this.
to say